Welcome, Frazer Ulrick, to the second episode of the Humber Financial Forum podcast. So last week we had Gareth Falcon from Inksmore. Today we've got Frazer Ulrick of Westgates Restructuring. For those who don't know what the Humber Financial Forum is, it's a group of independent businesses that have come from the region for the benefit of SMEs. Frazer is obviously a member, one of the founding members, as am I. Frazer works in the world of restructuring and insolvency practitioning. I'm a finance broker. We also have an independent financial advisor, a mortgage broker, an invoice finance company, a property company. We have an accountant, we have a grant specialist, and we have a recruitment and a legal firm. So we've got quite a wide spread of knowledge there. And as I say, the businesses have come together to help SMEs of the region to give them some help and advice, really, and put some oil in their machines effectively. So, Frazer, welcome.
Thank you.
And give us a little bit of an introduction for yourself.
Yeah, so Frazer Ulrick of Westgates Restructuring. Set up Westgates a couple of years ago. I'm an independent insolvency practitioner based in East Yorkshire, serving the whole of the UK in terms of restructuring and business advisory.
Great. Fantastic. That was quite clear and concise. And well, welcome also to my pub, the Pear Tree Inn, as you can see there. So it's a Friday afternoon. I think it's nice to have a little bit of a relaxed chin wag and have a quick beer. So
yeah, cheers.
Cheers. So great.
That does look like a superimposed background.
Does it really?
Yeah.
It's a real pub in Carden.
Yeah.
I spent far too much time in over lockdown, so but what you can't see behind this screen, obviously, is that I've actually got a bike which I'm currently on trying to lose weight and out. So I've probably put on about a stone over lockdown, so it's horrendous. So I'm trying to lose. So. But
not
anyway,
one of those dangerous Peloton bikes, is it?
It's yeah, it is. But why is it dangerous?
Did I see something? I'm sure I saw something on the news about some various accidents that had happened as a result of these Peloton bikes or equipment.
I can imagine you could have some dangerous, moments on it, especially if you're sort of absolutely shattered and your muscles giving, and I could see your face plotting into the screen or something,
Yeah.
That's it. But I've enjoyed it so far. But it's just absolutely shattering. But anyway,
yeah.
But no, great, Frazer. Obviously, I've known you for 2 or 3 years now.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit longer. And you've been working in the world of insolvency for some time, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've worked in restructuring since about 2003, which was following university. I went to university in Birmingham and then got a data inputting job for a year in Hull before moving into restructuring and insolvency with a top 10 national firm, later moving to one of the big four, before joining a specialist insolvency practice nationwide, and then another insolvency practice before setting up on my own. Right,
great, okay. And I guess a bit like me, I certainly didn't go to university thinking I'm going to become a finance broker. I guess you didn't either, did you? What were your...
Can I say this? Right, so what happened, obviously I'd come out of university and I was doing a data inputting job, just keeping the money coming in, trying to pay off ridiculous amounts of debt. And if I'm being completely honest, I went for I saw a job advert in the local paper, which is just unheard of in this day and age. Applied for that job, which was in tax, believe it or not. I went for the tax interview and they said, actually, we think you're better suited to restructuring. And the rest is history. Enjoyed every moment since. One of the best interviews I've ever been to because of the change of life and what it's led to.
Oh, great. And I always think it's interesting because, yes, you do work in the world of insolvency, but as you've been mentioning quite a few times, that it's also about restructuring. So from a business perspective, there is a lot of problems out there at the moment because of the economy. There are businesses going to the wall, unfortunately, but it's not all about that, is it?
No, it's not. I think a lot of businesses need advice in one way or another, and I find that there's a lot of people out there who are great at their jobs, their professions, but sometimes they may need a little bit of guidance from someone such as myself in terms of the business side, the advisory, what they can and can't do, what their options are. And you'll feel the same, I'm sure, that there's a lot of people out there with various assets that are finance free, and sometimes they can make use of the working capital and the cash flow by seeking the advice of someone like myself or someone like yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because just because everyone, there's lots of business owners out there running a business, doesn't mean they know how to look after the accounts or how to manage the cash flow in the business. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of businesses fall short. And it's all about getting right advice, getting a bit of education. Even though I'm a finance broker, you would assume maybe that I understand finance and how it all works all the time. Well, I do. I understand how business works, but it doesn't mean that I practice it brilliantly myself. But I do make sure I've got a cash flow in the business.
Yeah, we've all got strengths and weaknesses. Every single one of us, and I think my attitude to it is be good at the area that you're specialising in, and perhaps take the advice of other professionals or individuals who are good at the parts that perhaps you need a little bit of work on.
Exactly, and that's why we brought the group together, the HHuFF group. Simple as that.
Because there's other people within the group that I will turn to ask for bits of advice on certain areas. We've used people internally, between the group.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's important because we recognise there wasn't a group like that in the Humber region. I mean, we come across individuals that have specialisms, and we thought, well, hold on, maybe we should bring them together and have regular networking events and meetings so people can come along. No obligation, just to come having a chat and say, look, if you've got any issues, maybe we can help them with, or if we can't help them, we can point you in the direction of someone who can. And it's really just in a relaxed environment, having a beer on a Friday, having a chinwag, and it's as simple as that, isn't it?
Absolutely. Everybody's got an input to have on something. They've all got an opinion. They've all got an experience, and dealing with 10 people who've got experience is far better than just one person with experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're the second person on. We've had Gareth on last week, and he talked about all things invoice finance and property, that kind of stuff. And we're going to have every other member on as we go along. So it would be really helpful if you can give us a bit more insight into what you actually do on a day-to-day basis and how you can help SMEs.
Yeah, every day is different in this in this industry. And actually you don't know what's going to happen during that day until the day happens, because it takes one call for somebody to sort of be in distress, financial distress, and it can change the whole course of the day. But ultimately, it's businesses of any size, small or large, that will seek my advice, sometimes directly, sometimes through other professional advisors, for my input. And any input and any initial advice it's free. There's no charge, and then they can go away and do with that advice what they feel relevant to their business. Yeah,
sure. And you're advising on what, maybe?
So I can advise on the closure of a business, which is perhaps when it's terminal. We can close the business, but also turnaround things, which are the options available to businesses in terms of when they're not too far down the road, but they've obviously got distressors. I can advise on those and give them strategies and formal procedures, which are recognised, by a court of law to assist in those turnaround exercises.
Yeah, sure. So it could be, for instance, a business that's got into some financial difficulty with some debtors, and although what they could be sat on maybe is some assets that they're unencumbered, that don't have any finance against them, and they could effectively find a way of getting money out of those assets to pay their debts, so therefore keep the business going.
Absolutely. Basically the advice is always given on the basis that it's the best result for all stakeholders. So the advice is to the company, not to the directors, and I'm always conscious of everyone that's involved in it, whether that be a creditor, a shareholder, or an employee.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting as well because you see a lot of businesses that aren't aware of the financial products that are out there, or the advice and help that is out there to help them move their business forward. And people are often going to find now, especially now more than ever, is that it's cash flow issues because people aren't paying them on time, and they're sitting there, well, I need the money. And of course there are products to help them do that, such as invoice finance, which we spoke about with Gareth last week. So I think it's about people being made aware of what's out there really, and understanding it, and not panicking, because there is a solution.
Yeah, I think there's a solution to every problem, in business, in finance. No matter what your liabilities are, no matter what your position is, there's an answer for everything, that suits everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. No, great. Okay, perfect. So you've been trading 2 years now, you say?
Yes, yeah, into the third year.
Great.
Yeah.
How's that been working out for you?
Good, because what it's given me is the business experience as well, so I can fully empathise with any small business owner of the thing, the elements that come together to make a business, whether that be a mechanic in a garage, or a large manufacturing business. There's elements to it that as an employee, perhaps people aren't always aware of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important, isn't it? That you can have those conversations on the level, and that's one of the reasons why we have these meetings with the HUFF. In fact, we've got one in May, on the 28th of May at 3 o'clock, if I remember rightly, at the HHuFF Business Centre, which is actually the sports centre as well, owned by one of the members of the HUFF. So those listening and watching, they're welcome to come down on the day, just have a chinwag. We'll buy them a beer, and you might find something out that could help the business move forward.
Absolutely, help your business progress. There's somebody down there that can assist in whether it's growing, whether it's retracting, whether it's consolidation. There's somebody within that group that can help, and there's certainly people within that group who have experience of all the different options.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just going back a little stage, right? I'm interested about when you was at university. What did you study at university?
I studied business and marketing.
Okay, right. So,
which always gets a laugh out of everybody. I don't know why. I laugh at it myself, but ultimately, I just turned 18 when I went to university. And when I say just, I was 18 years and 1 week old. And I trundled down to Birmingham, massive city, and was doing this business and marketing course, which it was life experience really that I was going to get over the next 3 years, as well as a degree and an education. But ultimately, looking back on it, it was a great life experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went to university, but I was actually asked to leave university.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
I didn't quite get to complete my. I didn't even get to third year. After the second year, they said, "Look, who are you? You haven't even turned up for classes very much." So you're getting a letter in the post saying you're not welcome back.
Yeah.
So I think that from my point of view, it was a good life experience, because it taught me that I needed to pull my flipping socks up for a start, and job and stop messing about and drinking too much and messing about. So but apart from that, I did meet some great mates, and interesting enough, I went and studied graphic design. So you think, how the hell do you get from graphic design into finance? A little bit like you, I sort of fell into it. I remember a friend of mine was working at Barclays, just in the admin department. Barclays Mercantile was in Basingstoke, and he said, "Oh, we're looking for administrators. Do you want to get a job?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll go for it." I literally knocked to the door, put my CV in, and next week I had the job. So it was that easy. And then I saw the sales guys and thought, these guys are making a few quid, and I like what they do, so I'm going to try and give that a go. And my career went from there really. But I remember going back to my university days, I was in a house with a bunch of lads that all dropped out of university in one way or another, and I think everyone looked around and thought we were just messing about, having a laugh, not taking his university stuff seriously. And every single one of them from that house is either a business owner now or have gone on to have a high profile job. So it's got something to say. I don't know. It's interesting. It really is. So
yeah, absolutely. I think mine. I would say that 10 of us set off in the same direction as friends, and they're all 10 are doing completely different roles now.
Yeah. So what did you really want to be then when you were younger?
That's a question.
You must have done some thought when you was at uni what you wanted to do.
Do you know what? And I remember being a young lad, and actually, and I wanted to be an accountant.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is really random, and I don't know many young kids now that would say I want to be an accountant. But yeah, that was definitely the job that I wanted to do, and it was based on liking maths out of all the subjects, obviously bar PE, which I absolutely adored.
Well, it's funny because I've always had a little thing for numbers. I love numbers. Love figuring things out. It's like when playing darts. I love figuring out what you need to get next, all that kind of stuff. And those two things, being artistic and good with numbers, don't often mix.
No, I would say that my understanding is that anyone who's good with numbers is terrible with art, and so I'd like to say that my art sort of level is stickmen sort of territory. But also, on the other comment, I'd like to caveat that by saying, that's no insult to it. Everybody thinks accountants are great with numbers, but it's not what their role is just about.
No, not at all, not at all. And in fact, I've got some friends who are accountants. In fact, we've got Darren Trice of Kingston Consulting on the HHuFF group, who's an accountant. And what I like about Darren is that he's not just an accountant, he's actually a management consultant. He'll go into businesses and say, right, you want to get from A to B and I can help you do that, and this is what you need to do, X, Y and Z. So I like those kind of accountants that have more than just number crunchers.
Absolutely, and I say that's my role as well, in terms of you want to get from A to B, and I can assist in helping you get from A to B, whether that's a distress situation or it's not a distress situation. Ultimately we're all there to do that. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's interesting. This week I've been on a course myself, an online course with a friend of mine who is also part of the marketing company that I work with as well. But we did a course on emotional intelligence. Now, as soon as I mentioned those two words together to my behalf, she just went, "That sounds namby-pamby." To be fair, I probably agreed with her at first, but having gone through the course, it was interesting because where I'm going with this is that the emotional intelligence basically makes you aware of your emotions and be able to fix them. So for instance, as a business owner, often we can have all these problems that happen all at once, and our minds get totally misted, and we can't make a decision because we don't know where we're going and all this kind of stuff. And the important thing about emotional intelligence is it tries to demystify your mind a little bit. But of course, the fact is often we get misted up and fogged up in our minds because we just don't know the answer to the things, and that's where we need to go for advice to get people to go, well, actually, this is how you sort it out, and suddenly all the stress goes a bit down and you can see a way through.
Yeah, well, I think that's the advice generally that I would give, is that we all to a certain extent will bury our heads in the sand if things, especially with finances, are not going right. Whoever does it next will not be the first, will not be the last person to do it. And it's always a difficult step, going and seeking help. But when my experience of it and the feedback is that everybody is grateful that we turn up and de-stress everything, and most people are surprised at how much stress we take off their hands in dealing with whatever the situation is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking, and with regards to I saw some news reports the other day, and it'd be good to have some insight from you with regards to there's a number of businesses that they're calling zombie businesses at the minute, businesses that are effectively unable to trade, and they are heading to the wall, unfortunately. And I think the government released a figure of 750,000 businesses that are zombie businesses at the minute. And I think what they mean by that is effectively there's a queue of businesses waiting to become insolvent. What's the rules and guidance around that? Because I understand that the government have put a date where you can't make a business insolvent. Is that right?
Yes. So you can't petition for liquidation or winding up of a business for a period of time. The zombie companies is, my understanding of a zombie company is that ultimately it's these companies, and they've been about for many, many years. It's nothing really to do with COVID, and maybe COVID sort of added to it, is where they actually aren't growing in any way, shape or form. They are just there funding, ongoing liabilities, etc. And I wouldn't like to call a couple of them that I've dealt with recently zombie companies, but ultimately it's people who have their own businesses that are threading that hamster wheel, and some of them have thought enough's enough, I want to go into employment, and I've assisted with that by taking away the hamster wheel, so to speak, the zombie company, while they go off and do what they want to do with their life.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think, going on from there as well, is that I hear there's a backlog, basically, these businesses being lined up, and your actual world is quite pressurized at the minute, because you're effectively trying to help these businesses. Some you just can't help, they are going to become insolvent, and you're trying to sort out the debts for them. But there's a big backlog, and do you see that backlog growing? Do you see a lot more businesses becoming insolvent or having problems in the next 12 months to 2 years?
You haven't been able to petition for the winding up of a company for at least 12 months now, and during that 12-month period, just through the natural life cycle, there would have been a number, there will be a stat somewhere, a number of businesses that would have gone into insolvency via that process, and they just haven't. So there is naturally going to be a backlog of those companies that when the whole thing opens up again, that they will be placed into liquidation in one way or another.
Okay, and I guess this has a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
Because the businesses that are, they've lent them money on one way or another, and they want some of their money back, and the problem is that because there's a backlog and nothing's happening, they're not going to get their money for even longer than they would normally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's an interesting time, isn't it, the economy, I think, and I think the government loans was a good thing to do, but I think in a way it has kept some businesses afloat that would have normally probably hit the wall anyway.
Yeah, well, I think that goes back to the point I've just made about these zombie companies and about the petitioning. There would be companies that would probably have been ready for winding up. Somebody would have petitioned, say, April 2020, and they're probably still going because they had the protection of the moratorium, really, that nobody could petition, so they almost felt untouchable. And they've also gone out and taken bounce back CBILS, whatever loans and whatever grants are available to them, which has boosted them. And some have used it to turn themselves around. Some perhaps not used it in the best way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing we're talking about is all a bit doom and gloom, really. I want to get away from that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, because actually there's a lot of positives, I think, at the moment. Like anything in life, there's winners and losers, but I think there are loads of opportunities out there. If somebody's in a certain industry and they think this isn't for me or this isn't working, there is always another industry that is there, and there's an opportunity. And one that I kind of talk about a little bit is, Thomas Cook. Bit of doom and gloom, Thomas Cook, which happened before COVID. But actually what I found looking at the marketplace is that's created numerous opportunities for individuals to start up as travel counsellors. Well, that's great. That's great for individuals. That's great for local communities. That's great for families, allowing people flexible working in terms of working for themselves. So doom and gloom people may be, but I'd say look at the positives.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think there is. There's always a spin out of it, isn't there? Yes, if something dies, something else, begins, and it's always the way. And it's not the end of the commercial world or as we know it. It's just going to change. Things just change and move on. And happened in the last recession. The housing bubble burst, and that was all doom and gloom. But actually, it's actually become better because of it. And this time round, we expected there to be another bubble burst with the properties and construction. Actually, it's gone the opposite way.
Absolutely, and I guess retail was another big one that was more recent. High street. Everybody talks about doom and gloom of the high street, but it creates opportunities for perhaps independents to move into that sector, some smaller businesses. You can do your shopping online, which a lot of people do, but also, there's no substitute for service, i.e. going into a shop and the experience that people have.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, the retail world at the minute, and how the high street's going to look, and how we shop. I mean, I know more people are shopping online now for obvious reasons, but we all know the problems with that is that you end up ordering something, you try it on and it doesn't fit you, then you've got to send it back and get something larger, and it's a pain in the backside, whereas you wouldn't have to experience that by going in a shop.
No.
So, but what I think we will see, and we've actually funded a couple of companies over this lockdown period, where they are experiential companies that have actually gone into a shopping centre and said, look, you've got all these empty spaces in here, can we rent one off you for a year? And the shopping centre have been quite happy to give them a year's worth of free rent. And what they're actually doing is having an experience there. One guy, for instance, has set up a product called Pop Golf, which is like a pop-up golf event. So you can go in, it's like he'd hate me saying this, but it's like Crazy Golf.
Yeah.
It's actually a very modern, up-to-date version of Crazy Golf. And it's using a space in a shopping centre to do that. So it attracts more people to go, and it's not just about shopping, it's about doing things and experiencing them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Princess Key and Hull's doing exactly that, isn't it? I've only read off Hull Live, but somebody bought it recently and is, trying to open it up to independents, I believe.
Right. That's great. These opportunities will spring out, and I'm sure there's these shopping centres, and now they've got all these empty spaces that will happily let people have a space, probably rent free for a certain period of time as well, so their business can get up on their feet and start generating income.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at, was it Marks and Spencer started up as a market stall, so that, there's opportunities there for somebody to go from a small store to potentially being a national retailer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, it's a little bit interesting. I found this out. I think it was the shopping centre in Sheffield, which I'm forgetting the name of now.
You can make use of the working capital for somebody to sort of be in the thing, the elements that bundled down to Birmingham.
It's like we're playing darts. I love it because they knew that people would flock to that store, and it would bring the people in. And of course, if you wanted to be next door to that store, their rent would be sky high. So that's crazy, but you wanted to be next to it because you knew if they went in the store next door, they were bound to come in your store.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these opportunities are springing up, and I'm sure we'll see it again. It's just the way life goes. We know that there's cycles of downturn. We know there's cycles of recession. Last recession was 2008. So it's roughly 10 years. It has been roughly 10 years. So, and we'll see it again,
Yes.
I think if business owners think about that and say, well, if we know it's going to be roughly every 10 years, we've got 10 years now of having a good, go of it, basically. And if you're my age, maybe slightly older, you might go, actually, it's 10 years to make my money, and then at the end of it, I'm going to get out, I'm gone, I'm retired, or whatever it is. And I think if you think in those stages, you might be all right. You might make a few quid.
Yeah, possibly so. I mean, even in that period, it's all about, and even during the downturn, it's all about cash management, isn't it? It's all about cash flow. Every business can survive the good. They enjoy the good times and survive the bad times through good management and good advice. Yeah,
exactly. And one of the things that you also do as well is that you might be called an insolvency practitioner, but actually you can make business close them down solvently.
Yes. Yeah, so they're always like the good news stories, which, I like doing them. Ultimately, it's somebody with a business, with cash in it, who wants the cash out, and they do it in a tax-efficient way, which is making use of the entrepreneur's relief at 10%. So instead of paying, 30-40% in terms of drawings from a business, dividends, They can pay 10% for their for the solvent liquidation based on a distribution made out of a member's voluntary liquidation.
So how would that work in real terms? So let's say we had a business who wanted to close the business down solvently. They had, a load of cash in the bank. Let's say they had £500,000 in the bank, and they had some assets as well. So they could then effectively sell those assets. That money would come into the business, and it may top up that bank account even more. So what that money they've got in the bank account, they can take that out with only 10% of
yes.
that. Is that right?
Yeah. So ultimately, let's work in really simple numbers. If they've got £500,000 worth of cash, £500,000 worth of assets, cash their assets in. If they've got £1 million worth of cash liquid in a bank account, and if they were to take it out and withdraw it, winding the business down themselves, they will pay up to £400,000 worth of tax on those drawings. However, if it's done via the solvent liquidation, they'll actually pay £100,000, which is the 10% plus some very small fees, in terms of a liquidator's fees for a solvent liquidation.
And I think it's interesting, isn't it? So it's not all doom and gloom. It's actually there's good opportunities here to close businesses down. I know a lot of people would say, well, if I've got a decent business, why would I want to do that? I could possibly sell it on. But actually, selling a business can be a right pain in the backside. It really can. You've got to wheel people in. People are going to try and give you very little money for your business. It can be a lot of hassle. It can take an awful long time. We're talking years sometimes. Whereas a solvent solution is very quick, is it?
Absolutely, it can be done. They're done within 12 months, but actually they can be done very, very quickly. Distributions out to the shareholders can have their money within a matter of days, really. And you talk about selling your business, but there's a lot of businesses out there that are people businesses. So when that individual decides that they no longer want to do that, or of an age where they are no longer wanting to do it, you can't sell on your contacts as such without you having to carry on to somebody who classic example would maybe be a recruitment agent who reaches 60. Well, they might want to wind the business down. Yes, they could try and sell it, but their contacts are their contacts, and unless they can introduce them to another party, and that other party gets along with their contacts, it may well be that it's better going down the solvent liquidation route than it is, the business sale route.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a little bit like my business. We're a financial brokerage. Yes, we provide solutions and we earn money from it from the lenders. But there's a lot of sort of what I would call one-man band bedroom brokers out there who have been going for years, and they generate cash, and it's great, and they can live off it quite well. But actually, there's nothing there. There's no assets. It's no, when they come to retirement age, they might be able to pass on a few contacts, but those contacts might not want to know the other people. They might find something else and move on. So it's very difficult when you've got sort of a financial advice business that's with very few staff to have anything really to pass on or sell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Difficult, isn't it? But yeah. No, so it's certainly an interesting time in the finance world. It really is challenging. Yeah. I know that we've been involved in some customers wanting to buy other businesses. So rather than them winding their businesses down solvently, they've actually decided to sell. There have actually, for instance, been businesses where the director's been in their sort of late 60s, early 70s, and they've got to this COVID period and gone, you know what, I've had so many challenges in my career. This probably is one too many, and I don't want to take it on. So we've been involved in helping businesses buy other companies, which is great, of course. But we've used the CBILS and the bounce back loans, and now the recovery loan schemes come out, and companies can utilise that scheme to do so. So it's an interesting time because there's a lot of movement and going on in that I've never seen before at all. There's a lot of deals being had, a lot of people making bold moves in the market. So it's an interesting time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it leads us back to the point that we made a little bit earlier, which is there are opportunities out there, and people are acquisitive. They will take opportunities when they arise.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've done a lot of talking about business, and so what about you, Frazer? What do you like to do in your spare time?
I joined a golf club.
Which one's that?
12 months ago. I joined Hull Golf Club. I do enjoy it. I'm terrible at it, but that's one thing that I do enjoy. And I guess just exercising, keeping mentally stimulated, obviously going out for walks, meals, the usual things that most people do. But anything kind of outdoorsy, with a bit of sunshine and perhaps a pub meal at the end of it, I enjoy doing.
The simple things in life, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've played golf with you, mate, and you're a damn sight better than me.
Yeah, but you did say that you were the worst golfer that you've ever played with or against.
Absolutely. I tell you, the funny thing is, every time I say that, people think that I'm lying, and I'm just saying that to get everyone going. I'm honestly the worst golfer, and I don't practice ever. When someone says turn up to golf, I turn up, and the last time I played is probably the last time someone's asked me, which was probably about a year before. I don't really get much from golf, if I'm honest.
I think with golf, it's just and I did it for 10 years. I was exactly the same. I just, I turned up, I hacked it around, it went backwards, it went sideways, it trickled a metre forward, did it all. And so long as you're happy, not bothered about it, and I certainly am, or wasn't, and still aren't now to a certain extent. You just got to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy the walk. You've got to enjoy the company, and provided nobody's getting upset with you, playing in whatever way you do. And I've seen people who profess to be decent golfers, and they've looked far worse than anybody that I've played with before. So we all have our good and bad days, I guess.
No, you're not wrong there. I think I always have a bad day. So just one of those, such a frustrating sport. It really is. I don't understand why you want to walk for basically 5 miles.
Yeah.
Hacking your ball out of long grass and bushes all day long.
No, I know, and obviously I have got the bug, and I've realised that actually there's a lot of things that I've done for 10 years when I've just been playing in a couple of times a year, that actually I'm setting myself up to fail in golf. But once watching a couple of YouTube videos, I feel like I should be on the PGA Tour. Putting it into practice is a little bit different though.
Well, the thing is, this is why I like football, I prefer football, is because I know that I can give it a go, and there will be moments in the game that you're going to love, and there's going to be moments in the game you're not going to love. But usually a golf, it's usually just, I hate the whole scenario. Well, only because I'm crap, but it's a bit more up and down. You do come away from football thinking, I did something decent there, even though I didn't have a great game, I did something decent out of it. Whereas golf, I never seem to have any of that. It's always, that was a waste of 4 hours.
Yeah. I think it's maybe just a slow pace of life in terms of me, because I always felt like that as well. At least when you come off football, or me personally, I feel like I've had a run about, so it's done me some good. Whereas there's times when you come off the golf course and think, well, what good has that done me? Apart from make me realise that I can't reenact the PGA Tour.
And you've got a few blisters and your hands hurt.
Yeah.
That's the only good thing I like about golf is the 2 or 3 pints afterwards. And
that's well, to be honest with you, I think that's most people.
Yeah. Well, next time you play golf, don't invite me to play golf. Just invite me for the beers.
Yeah. just do a John Terry and put your kit on, and then
Excellent. Yeah, I'll do that actually.
Yeah.
No, great. Mate, thank you very much. I tell you what, I've got a few sort of quick fire questions I'd like to do at the end.
Okay.
And are you looking at the questions there? You got a copy of the questions, have you?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna have to change it.
Well, please tell me you're going to edit these. So, like, if it is quickfire and I go, I don't know, because I'm looking at some of these and I couldn't answer them now.
Well, I'm not.
What is the most sought after financial facility at the moment? Well, I don't know. What do you mean?
I'm not going to ask you that one.
Okay. All right. Nights in or nights out?
Yeah, night in or night out, mate.
Can I do both? One after the other? Night out followed by a Chinese and match of the day the night after?
Or more specifically, is it a night out and then you need 3 nights in to recover? Is that more...
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, because it's not just a night out. It's start early, go out for a night, come home in the early hours, and out 10 hours, 12 hours, something ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
At our age, mate, recovering from a night out, it takes days now.
Well, I like to, if anybody wants to go out, it's Friday night for me, and then I've got the full weekend to get myself back together.
Totally agree. That's exactly what I say to the missus all the time. It's got to be Friday. If it's Saturday night, Sunday's a write-off. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always say, I'll go out on Saturday night, but if you want me to do anything Sunday, just forget it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. I'm at a barbecue this Saturday, which Sunday I think is going to be pretty tough, and I've got a bit of work to do on Saturday morning, so I'm thinking I do need to get it done, because I know I've got all day Sunday, but I won't be in the the right frame of mind to be tapping away at the laptop.
Well, I'm off out for a few beers. Well, I'm actually watching my stepson play cricket tonight, and
nice.
There's a nice little pavilion with a bar in it, so I'm good.
Do you know what? It was like a little thing of mine that I want. I'm rubbish at cricket, rubbish, rubbish. And but I would love for my son to play cricket on the basis of a day like today where it's sunny. You get a beer, you get sat on a little chair by the side of the cricket pitch, sat having a beer while they're sort of in the whites playing cricket. Absolutely perfect. And I have many a time kind of walked with Alfie, sort of been on the bikes, walked and stopped by HHuFF Cricket Club and just watched for an hour or two.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
A friend of mine plays cricket, and he plays Saturdays and Sundays, but he said, obviously cricket can take hours out of your weekend. It really can. Yeah. And he said so many of his mates that he plays cricket with, that their personal relationships have just gone to the wall. They really have, because of cricket. And so I said to him, I know you love your job, but you also love cricket, but where nothing else fits into your life. He says, no, and I don't care. Yeah,
well, I've got a couple of friends who love cricket and play cricket, and they leave at 11 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday and come back at 8 o'clock at night having just played cricket all day. It can't be great for the relationship. But then you look at golf, you have an hour getting, before you start, you have a 4-hour round, and then you have an hour or two having a drink afterwards. It's 6-7 hours, isn't it? Yeah. The only thing where you don't really have that is football, because it's 90 minutes. But then, you're going to have 5 hours in the pub rather than.
Turn up a bit too cheap, so the missus is not happy, and then
don't do that. Yeah. Well, once you've had 4 pints, you don't care.
And that's why pint 5, 6, 7, 8 comes along.
Yeah. I know what you mean,
mate. So, are you a veggie or a meat eater?
Meat eater.
We're trying to do 2 or 3 meals a week of veggie. Do you feel like we should save the world a little bit?
Well, yeah, funny you should say that, because we're having the similar conversations at the moment. And actually, I must admit, I'm quite happy to have a veggie type meal, a few times. And I got a falafel wrap for the first time the other day, and actually, it was delicious. It really, really was good.
And they feel like meaty as well, don't they, a little bit?
Well, it was immense. It filled me up for the day. It was great. Yeah. And I'd certainly have more of them. And I know Lisa watches various things, documentaries on Netflix, and the latest one, Seaspiracy. So she's not eating fish anymore.
Because of that? Wow. I see. I've met people who've seen documentaries. I think there's one about how food how meat's processed and that kind of stuff. And it's put them off for meat forever, that kind of stuff. I think there is going to be businesses out there who do that. They're literally farming these animals really badly and just for meat. Whereas there's lots of decent.
Agreed. I mean, I remember, it must be 10 years ago now, in a previous job where we were appointed administrators of a pasty factory. And I walked around sort of the factory floor, and I absolutely love a pasty. And I didn't eat one for 2 years afterwards. I'm back on them now, don't worry. But at that point in time, I thought, no, I don't really want them anymore.
It does, yeah.
But it's like anything. I remember working at certain hotels in and around Hull, silver serving and waitering, and you think, oh, I want to eat there, but it's it is what it is. It's I'm not saying there was anything bad. It's just that when you're waitering, it's a different game to eating there, isn't it? I mean, I had a job when I was younger, which was glass collecting in one of the nightclubs in Hull. Well, it wasn't like a night out, believe you me, glass collecting around a load of drunken people.
And I tell you, actually, you remind me now. When I was at my university days, we used to go to this pub. I can't remember what it's called now. A bar. I think it was called McCluskey's or something like that in Southampton. That's where I went to uni.
Yeah.
And on student night, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday night. Can't remember now. But it was like £1 a pint. So you could, if you were skint, you could still go out with a $5.
Yeah.
And have 5 pints, even though you'd say it tastes a bit watered down. It was only Foster's, of course, which is a bit watery, but it felt like it was even more watered down. And of course, after 5 pints, you spent your money. You're like, right, what do I do now? And then we would go around. So bad, we'd go around beer.
Yeah.
We'd see someone buy a beer at the bar, watch them go and take it down and put it on, some kind of side, chat to the mate, and you'd steal their pint and walk off.
Yeah, well, I've done a lot of minesweeping, but I tell you what, when I was at uni and they were new then, and I still remember them now, so I think I had the other extreme where there was these £5 all you can drink things, and it was £5. So there was a nightclub in Birmingham for students where you paid £5 to get in, and you just kept going and asking for a drink at the bar. So you can imagine what sort of, I think they were pretty strong drinks, so your vodka was strong. I mean, I wouldn't like to say what it was or how dangerous it was, but ultimately, a night out, you could go out with £5.
It's a good job they don't have those bars open now.
Oh, dangerous. I think the nearest thing we've got now, and not that it's something that I've done, is these bottomless brunches.
All right.
Where, a lot of the girls
make it right, yeah.
I think there's very little food and just a lot of drink. You get sort of 2 hours to drink as much as you can. I think when I say drink as much as you can, I think that's the attitude that a lot of people go with.
All right. Okay. Well, it's all like when you go to the Chinese all you can eat, isn't it? Everyone sits there and just like stuffs their face. It's like ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, that's where we first met, wasn't it? The Chinese.
Yeah.
In the previous life, in my old job.
Yeah. I was trying to wrap my brains as to how we first met, but now you're right.
That was it. Yinji Bar, and then we carried on for a little bit afterwards.
Yes, I remember now. It's all coming back.
Yes.
I think that was with Mike at Forrester Boyd and a few others.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, what do you have in your chips?
Chip spice and cheese.
And chip spice and cheese.
And cheese, yeah. Although recently I had, which I absolutely loved, chips and feta from the Greek takeaway near me, and obviously oregano. It was lovely.
Nice. They've got in North Cave, I think it's on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, they've got like this Greek van that goes round and it parks up in North Cave and you can go and get Greek food from there. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it is. I don't know how healthy it is, but everything that I've ever had from the Greek takeaway is delicious.
Oh yeah, but greasy, but there you go.
Yeah.
Well, Frazer, though, thank you very much for popping onto the episode today. Like I mentioned earlier in the episode, is that on the 28th of May at the Active Plus Sports Centre, we will have a HHuFF meeting, so anyone is welcome to come down. It's from 3 p.m. on the Friday. That's the 28th of May. I've always said that, but come down, we'll buy a beer, have a chin wag, see if we can help your businesses in one way or another. And if not, it's just nice to get to know people and network a bit. So, Frazer, thank you very much for coming on the show today, and I appreciate your time, and we'll see each other soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot. See you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.